Hi everybody, it's Karen Isbell here, and I'm going to be telling you about my research project. And the big question that drives this project is this: can social and emotional and character development programs narrow the socioeconomic achievement gap in America? So this fight for educational equity has been going on in America for decades. And I know we've been learning about this last several weeks, and we know that the federal initiative to deal with the achievement gap between poor students and more affluent students really goes back to Brown versus the Board of Education, and the Supreme Court ruling that segregated schools were unconstitutional. And then shortly after that, in 1965, the government passed the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, ESEA, and that provided resources to economically disadvantaged communities through the allocation of Title I funding. Also during this time, we had the National Assessment of Educational Progress initiated. This is what's known as the nation's report card, and it continues to give us a report every 2 years on the progress of American students. Also, interestingly, I learned about something called the Coleman Report that was published in 1966, and it was the results of Johns Hopkins professor James Coleman's study of over 600,000 students at 4,000 schools. And what he found in his report is that children's experiences at home, especially in early childhood, has a really tremendous effect on their outcomes in school. And that really applies to the study that I would like to conduct. Also, moving into the last couple of decades, in 2001, ESEA was reauthorized by something I know we're all pretty familiar with when George W. Bush passed No Child Left Behind. And of course, this required schools to administer the yearly standardized achievement tests, and then held schools responsible for achieving adequate yearly progress. After 3 years of failing to achieve adequate yearly progress, schools were subject to punitive measures such as restructuring. Now, another aspect of legislation that applies more specifically to my project is from President Barack Obama's reauthorization of ESEA in 2015 with the Every Child Succeeds Act, which is ESSA. And this is really aiming to correct a lot of the kind of downsides of No Child Left Behind and create a lot more flexibility and give school districts the opportunity to select interventions that are really tailor-made to their students. Of course, they have to be research-based, evidence-based interventions, but it does give schools more flexibility, and also it measures students more on growth. Also, tied to my study is an understanding of how dire the situation really is with the achievement gap in America. Data from the 2015 NAEP assessment shows that only 21% of low socioeconomic level fourth graders achieved proficiency on the 2015 reading test, compared to 52% of non-poor students. Really alarming statistic. I also found a report from this year from Georgetown University, and it's called Born to Win, Schooled to Lose. Kind of a disturbing title. It's why equally talented students don't get equal chances to be all they can be. This was a study of comparing and contrasting what happens to high-performing children who come from affluence versus from poverty as they progress through the K through 12 system. And what research revealed is that family income is more predictive of students' ongoing achievement than their innate potential. 7 out of 10 affluent students who perform in the lower half of tests in kindergarten will still go on to reach high socioeconomic status as a young adult, whereas only 3 out of 10 lower socioeconomic status students will achieve that advancement as well as a well-paying job. So that was kind of disturbing. So in addition to the lackluster impact of No Child Left Behind, as a response to that, a lot of schools and districts around the country have been turning to non-cognitive or holistic interventions to help address the holes that are there in the foundation that kids need to be prepared to learn when they get to school. And so these programs are meant to provide them enriched opportunities and community services, including healthcare and early childhood programs. So in final analysis, what my research points to is the need for intensive, multi-level interventions that address students' need to attend schools that promote a sense of belonging and purpose, combined with the message that it is their learning process and the effort that they put into their learning that will lead them to achieving the goals that they have set autonomously for themselves. So the theoretical foundation of my study is grounded in 2 complementary theories. They have a lot in common, and I know we're all familiar with them to some degree. One of them is mindset theory, is developed by Carol Dweck and her research partners, and also Angela Duckworth's grit theory. My study is also grounded in the phenomenological perspective of describing student and teacher experiences and their beliefs and attitudes on mindset and character and social and emotional self-regulation and how that impacts them. So basically, the problem is this. We're still evaluated based on test scores, teachers and schools. And so there's a problem of how are we going to get the support, the governmental, federal, and state and local support that we need to support these programs. That we have to find a way to bridge these 2 different aspects of the debate. So my research questions. First, for my qualitative study, I will conduct a survey with both the teachers and the students. And the question is, do teachers and students believe that having a growth mindset, strong social and emotional self-management skills, and a sense of purpose impacts individuals' achievement of academic and other life goals? And do they feel a curriculum emphasizing the cultivation of these characteristics is worthwhile? For my quantitative statistical analysis, my question is, does a school year's participation in the Mosaic program of social and emotional and character development curriculum have a statistically significant difference in economically disadvantaged 9th grade students' standardized English 1 star scores? That's the dependent variable, compared to the control group, which does not participate in the program. And utilizing a one-way ANOVA study, the 2 independent variable groups will be the experimental group, who experience the curriculum over the school year, and the control group, who does not participate in the program. The effect size will also be reported, establishing the difference in average growth or decline on scores from the experimental group in the current school year compared to previous years. So again, the purpose of this study, the justification behind this study, is that funding is often tied to interventions that are going to improve test scores. So we need support in schools to have these programs that are going to help students build the foundation that they need. If social and emotional character development programs can be shown to positively impact students' proficiency on standardized test scores, there will be more widespread enthusiasm and adoption for these programs, and the combined focus on improving academic achievement while also focusing on the internal social and emotional and character development of each child. So again, we're using a mixed methods approach for this study, qualitative and quantitative methods. It will take place over a school year. And the dependent variable, of course, is the end-of-year STAR scores. The study will be conducted on ninth grade students from one school district in similar schools that have very similar demographics of at least 80 to 90% economically disadvantaged students based on their participation in free or reduced price lunch. We'll also do a pilot study with a survey to increase face and content validity with both the teachers and the students. So the methodological choice to have an experimental and control group also enables a valid, reliable comparison between one group's scores and the others, and also because we'll be including the state established formula for expected annual growth for each student. So my directional hypothesis is that based on anecdotal evidence from other social and emotional and character development programs implemented around the country, and the research that has established students' critical need for a sense of belonging and purpose, I propose that this study will establish a strong positive impact on academic achievement and growth for students who participate in this year-long program. So thank you so much for listening to a little bit of my idea and the foundation behind my study that I hope will show that kids deserve to receive interventions that are going to help them not just answer test questions correctly, but to have the foundation for learning that they can carry with them through a lifetime. So I look forward to hearing about all of your projects, and take care. Bye.